Mr. Iyer, you did say that you're neutral on the markets, but surely there's some churn or some positioning that you're doing. Where is it that you are seeing complete avoids, or where is it you would recommend complete avoiding? And are you selectively looking at sectors where you would put in money?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier also, I would want to repeat that this is what you call a bottom-up stock market where individual companies, irrespective of the sectors, could do well or not do well. Having said that, there are certain sectors where, say for example, IT, where the valuation looks so good at this point of time that one could take a view at increasing weights there. Pharma has been a very clear winner in terms of the quarterly numbers, and that's one sector where we are seeing no negatives building up. Apart from that, very few sectors where one can give a very clear-cut signal. Banking, yes, to some extent, banking, the short to medium term looks good because we are looking at interest rates coming off, and we are looking at bankers generally gaining in terms of margins as well as in terms of benefiting on the interest rates getting lowered.
Leave it at that, Mr. Iyer. Thanks so much for taking the time out and accommodating this interview request of ours and joining us in the studio as well. While the index may be flat, I think one big reason why the index has cracked, and you reiterated this at the start of the show, is Bharti Airtel. It is now down almost 7%, 20 bucks shaved off in a single session. 273 is where that one is trading, so not the best of days. It's come off quite rapidly. Ashwini, would there be a strategy out here in Bharti Airtel? I mean, the problem is that the quantum of the fall is so large that I would guess it's probably not the wisest of ideas to initiate a short, but you're looking at charts, so what's your feeling?
Well, it's heading briskly towards levels of about 260, which was the previous, longer term bottom, or rather medium term bottom. So definitely 260, 255, 260 seems to be on the cards, and certainly not a buy. And it's placed pretty precariously because the market is still around intermediate highs, and a stock is heading towards intermediate lows, which means that if the market turns, even 255, 260 may be at risk. By breaking 290, now a clear downtrend has started on Bharti.
Yeah, and it's showing an idea as well, 4.5% off. But look at the Nifty Junior, that's come off, and a lot of heavyweight names are in the Nifty Junior essentially are cracking. So Reliance Capital, for all the movement that it did for the Reliance AMC Nippon deal, is back to 350, 351. There is weakness seen in IDFC, Titan, LIC Housing Finance. United Spirits has cracked meaningfully. So deal, no deal, the limbo remains, and that one is back to 826. So that's not doing well either. Z Entertainment, incidentally, is down 2.5% as well. Avinash, but 7% on Bharti. I know we discussed this at the start of the show, but that fear has caught on to Idea as well, and that is down close to 4.5% too. I mean, a lot of people would have believed that the major damage is there in the price for a Bharti and an Idea, and the view would be that maybe post-Jan, once the auctions are out of the way and the regulatory hurdles are out of the way, there could be some more upsides, because the stock has been trading lower for the last 2 or 3 months. It's been a marked underperformer. 7% and counting on Bharti.
I think, Neeraj, 7% is definitely a sharp correction, but very clearly I think the markets are probably getting a signal that this underperformance is going to remain long for at least a couple of quarters. In fact, this time the numbers were really disappointing from the fact that, the African operations have shown some margin pressure, which I think is little concerning, although they have mentioned that, market share increase has happened. So I think going forward, from a portfolio perspective, a longer term kind of picture, I think definitely Bharti could possibly be one of the winners. But looking at the spectrum price of 14,000 crores and the fact that, this time it's going to actually burden them with more debt, and in fact the Bharti Infratel IPO, I think that is probably a trigger which possibly could, in the shorter term could actually help Bharti. But here also the divestment is not more than 10%. So I think clearly in the shorter term, the headwinds against Bharti would remain, and I think probably 250, 260 would be a price where the stock should settle down.
Right, that's a quick call coming in on Bharti Airtel, down about 6.5%. Avinash, would also want to take your call on Reliance Industries. I mean, after its run up recently, what would be your position on the stock?
Tanvir, I would prefer to hold on because the kind of spate of news which has come out in the last week or so, I think clearly it appears that the kind of confrontation Reliance had with the government is resolved. More importantly, I think the markets are also getting a feel that once the CAG audit is over, probably an increase in gas prices also could be possibly be looked at, although this looks a bit difficult in the shorter term. And the telecom angle, I think, is also coming into the stock. I think most market participants are expecting that possibly in the next 2 to 3 months there could be a 4G rollout from Reliance. So in all, I think if these positive news flows do happen, then I think probably the momentum in Reliance would continue. As a buyer, probably I would buy Reliance on every decline, but definitely would not be a seller. In fact, another say 8-10% upside from here in the next say couple of months looks possible.
Infrastructure has looked distinctly weak as well. The smaller names keep on getting smaller. IVRCL is 4.5%, NCC is down 4.5%, GVK is down 5% in trade. Mitesh, I'm sure you're, a trade maybe on NCC didn't work out as well, but is there a contra trade now? Is there a short trade in any of the infra names?
Yeah, Neeraj, in fact, I'm waiting for GMR Infra to start trading below 20 odd levels. Once that happens, I think, there will be a minor breakdown on the short side, and we can possibly look at targets of about 19.25, which is about just about 10%. I think that kind of move can be expected on the downside, or the recent lows of 19.25 will be retested. So just wait for the stock to start trading below 22, and then I think keeping a 70-75% kind of stop loss, I think there could be a good trade over here.
That entire pack is not looking good. The infrastructure basket is looking extremely weak in the session. Avinash, no prizes for guessing that the numbers from GVK would have been bad, as would be from some of the others as well. Punj Lloyd, commentary was bullish, but the results were just about at par. What's the call here? Bottom fishing at all, or you would just simply stay away?
No, I think Neeraj, I think avoidable for the time being, because my guess is I think we still have the headwinds against this sector for some more time, and probably for another couple of quarters, at least till September, October. My guess is, not only the incremental order book, but even the margin pressure is going to remain very severe. In fact, Punj Lloyd was supposed to, probably come back in the black, but I think it disappointed by showing a net loss of 13 crores. So I think clearly, there's good amount of investment appetite for these stocks, but they have been underperforming for a very long time. And I would suggest that, in this kind of volatile market, stock specific wise, I think it's better to put your neck out on something where the earnings visibility is good and where the track record of these companies is pretty decent. So I think avoidable. I think probably you'll get these stocks at decent levels, say around September, October end. I think that would be a time where one could possibly try to pitch in here.
A few stocks which have actually done well even in a market like this. Look at a Wockhardt. It just continues unabated. 1145. Not that the results were special or anything. 1145, 6% higher in trade today as well for a Wockhardt. So this one continued to rise and shine. 1149 now, in fact, for a Wockhardt. Avinash, what explains this? Sure enough, the deal has been done. The results were just fairly okay, but it's not that the stock is not had a run up. It's moved up quite significantly. What's happening here?
Neeraj, my guess is I think, the company positively surprised everyone in this quarter. I think markets were expecting a bottom line of 260, 270 crores, and what actually came out was a significantly higher number of around 380 crores. So I think my sense is, possibly, we could see an earnings kind of improvement. Probably the full year forecast for FY13 and 14 could possibly be much better than what earlier analysts expected. And I think there's been a lot of under participation by, participants at lower levels. So probably now the market is getting a sense that, probably this momentum and this sustained move is going to continue for the next couple of quarters. And probably from here on, I think clearly, although the price has moved up significantly, from here on also on a higher base, I think a 10-12% upside can be possible, provided, the earnings momentum continues.
On the charts, Ashwini, a Wockhardt 1149.
Well, it's not very useful looking at the chart, other than the fact that you can just simply keep a trailing stop now on this stock, which you can keep updating as it moves higher. Now your trailing stop should be around 1050. That's assuming that you got in around 650, 700. So as the stock moves higher, just keep updating your stop, and let's see where it goes. Whenever it's finishing up with the move, you will see some big days, 7, 8, 10% type of days, 2 or 3 of them, and then basically, the run would be done, and even this stock will get into some kind of a correction.
Right. Just a quick word in, Mitesh, on a dredging corp this afternoon.
See, I think a lot of PSU, MMTC, STC, I think are moving up today, and Dredging Corp is also broken out with that. It's met the first targets of about 280. 280, 285 is a strong supply area. If it starts to trade above that, I think there's a good chance that you might see 310 being tested over here. So the momentum is there. Clearly, there has been some kind of breakout here. I think volumes have been very, very good. So I'm sure delivery numbers in the evening would be equally interesting as well. And 285 is the level to watch out for. Above that, 310 is what I would look for.
All right, Jim, stay on with us. Let's go across to our research desk. Poonam is standing by to give us a quick perspective on some of the volume buzzes this afternoon. And I see some PSU names in your list as well, Poonam.
Well, Tanvi, we do have MMTC, Neyveli Lignite as well as Bharti Airtel. On MMTC, of course, it is an ideal divestment candidate. However, the volumes are 28.3 lakh shares have been traded and 23.3 times is the volumes on a 2-week average. The stock has gained considerably and is trading above all DMA. And these are the highest volume seen in this counter since the first week of Jan this year. Again, the company has invited bids to export 35 tons of milling wheat. Next is Neyveli.